Hello, happy Sunday. Welcome to the end of week 3 of the challenge. Hope everyone's having a good time with it so far. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but by now I think most of you are getting into a good flow with everything, right? Maybe week 1 you were really trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna get all these fruits and vegetables in, or how am I gonna get all this sleep in? And I know Dennis gave some really good tips last week about sleep and really talked about the importance of that. And so this week we're going to talk about hydration and the importance of staying hydrated. So I think, and I would think Dennis would agree as well, that hydrated, drinking enough water, being hydrated throughout your day is probably one of the most underutilized aspects of health. And so if you come to me one day and you tell me, oh, I'm not feeling well today, whether you're telling me you're feeling tired, you're feeling sluggish, you're feeling off, whatever it is, like you're just telling me you're not feeling well, one of the first things I'm going to ask is, how much water did you drink today? Or how hydrated are you today? Like what beverages have you drank? I mean, I'm also gonna ask about like your sleep and stress, but hydration is one of the first things that I'm going to ask about. If you're telling me you're not feeling well, you're telling me you're really sore, you're not feeling good during a workout, different things like that. Hydration is a huge component of feeling healthy, of living a healthy lifestyle, and it's also really going to help you in losing weight, building muscle, all of those really good things as well, okay? So over here, I know if you're watching this through the video, the board's a little hard to see. Feel free to pause it, zoom in, right? There's a moment to kind of zoom into that screen so you can see all the things I wrote here. But just figured some benefits of hydration, right? It improves your sleep, improves your mood, improves your cognitive function. We can talk about some of the feelings of being dehydrated, fatigue, headache, all of that stuff is playing into not drinking enough water, right? If you're feeling fatigued, your cognitive function is not going to be as sharp, as quick as it normally is, right? If you have a headache, if you're feeling down, if you're not drinking enough water, it could be hard to sleep, or you have more interrupted sleep. Your mood might even just be affected because, your body's not hydrated, right? Our bodies are made up of like 60 to 70% water. So we need a lot of water to help us maintain our bodily functions, right? And speaking of bodily functions, right, even being hydrated helps regulate your bowel movements. So if you are someone who is not regular, you're not kind of on a schedule for those bowel movements, ideally we should be waking up, going to the bathroom pretty soon after waking up. I know for some of us, we do kind of need that cup of coffee or just to get moving a little bit to kind of get things going. But either way, your body for you should be regular. You should have regular bowel movements. And if you're not, if you're feeling constipated a lot, or also if you are having, excess bowel movements a lot, that could also be signs of being dehydrated. Okay, so making sure we're drinking enough water is going to really help with that, keep things moving. It's gonna help lubricate our joints. If you feel stiff a lot, if you're feeling achy a lot, if you're having a hard time recovering from workouts, if you're feeling sore all the time, it could just be that we're not drinking enough water. Transporting oxygen, carrying nutrients throughout our body, maintaining our body temperature. So there are other things that, factor into body temperature, things like that, like your thyroid plays into that. And so if you have hypo or hyperthyroidism, that could also affect things. But at a base level, if we're not taking enough liquids, if we're not drinking enough water, that could also affect how our body feels, our body temperature, and then that's going to also affect all these other things, right? And so if we talk about feelings of dehydrated, the first sign, we all feel this from time to time. I feel this now just even talking about drinking water, right? You feel thirsty. And it's funny, thirst is kind of that first sign of being dehydrated, because when you feel thirsty, your body is already like, oh, we need more water. We need to take more water in. You shouldn't be waiting until you feel thirsty to start drinking water. Okay, that thirst is kind of that first sign of your body being like, hey, we need you to pay attention, right? We need a little extra care in this department. So thirst is kind of that first sign of dehydration, dry mouth, right? That feeling of just, not having saliva in your mouth, not being able to make spit, so that dry mouth feeling, a headache. I think that's a common one that a lot of us feel. There are times you might wake up with a headache, which again, could be other things, but you wake up with a headache, that could be a sign that you didn't drink enough water the day before. And so that's finally now catching up to you. Or if you notice you're getting a headache as the day's going on, maybe take that moment, stop, think to yourself, oh, when's the last time I had a glass of water? I could just be thirsty, right? So water, that fatigue feeling, dizziness, a lot of that is just being dehydrated. Dry skin is another one, and then having dark colored urine. So looking at your urine is a good way to see how hydrated you are. You want to aim for 1 clear pee a day. Okay, so that 1 clear pee a day is going to let you know that you are properly hydrated. If you're having multiple clear pees a day, or almost all of every time you go to the bathroom it's clear, that could be a sign that you're drinking too much water or just too much water in that time frame. Like if we're having lots of clear urine throughout the day, your body's not absorbing enough of that water, right? It's not kind of expelling, it's just that water's just going right through you. So you're not really absorbing anything, you're not really taking that in. So it could just mean that you're drinking too much water. Your body can only absorb 32 to 34, so we'll just say 32 ounces of water per hour. So there are times when we'll talk about kind of front loading your day and things like that. But there are times if you're like, oh, I only have a little bit of time, or I want to get a ton of water in first thing in the morning, and you're like, okay, I'm going to chug, which would be, it'd be hard to chug. But if you're like, I'm going to chug 40 ounces of water, which is aggressive. But just say you do, say you're like, I'm going to get all this in now. Your body's not going to absorb all of that water, and then that's also immediately going to make you feel like you have to go to the bathroom. So if you're also thinking, I've now been drinking a ton of water, right? Say you're like, I have to drink 130 ounces and I'm drinking it and I have to pee all the time, I'm always running to the bathroom. 2 things could be happening. 1, it does take your body a little bit of time to adjust to drinking more water. So some of that is just be patient, stay with it, give your body a chance. As much as we think our bodies are very adaptable, which they are, they still are kind of slow to adapt, right? So if you've been chronically 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, years of, maybe only drinking 50 to 80 ounces of water a day, and now we're telling you to drink 130, that's a big change for your body, right? So give your body time to process, adjust, be patient. The other thing could be you're drinking a lot of water in a short period of time. And so doing that, your body's just not able to utilize and kind of digest all of that water. And so it's just kind of going right through you. So if you are noticing you're running to the bathroom a lot, kind of pay attention to how much water you're drinking within an hour or certain time spans, and just kind of see oh, do I need to space this out a little bit more, okay? But urine is a really good way to just kind of tell how hydrated am I, right? Even first thing in the morning, that's probably gonna be your darkest urine of the day, but we still don't want it to be too dark of a color. It could just mean that, we're dehydrated from that day before, all right? And so along with these are kind of our first warning signs, right? Having 1 or 2, whatever, really dark colored urines, that in itself, it's okay, right? It's just letting you know, hey, pay attention, you need a little bit, we need some more water, we need to be hydrated. You get a headache, if you feel thirsty, none of those things are major, but they can lead to major things, right? If we are chronically dehydrated, it really can lead to a lot of health problems. Having electrolyte imbalances, that's really gonna make you feel fatigued, it's gonna make you feel dizzy, it could make you, pass out, faint. We can get kidney stones from, being dehydrated, which could lead to kidney infections. We could go into shock, which does have to do with those electrolytes being imbalanced as well. And then, kind of worst case, coma, things like that. So some of these signs are okay in terms of, hey, this is your chance to now correct it and to drink more water. Your body's giving you that warning sign of like, hey, like, you know, that check engine light's on. Kind of think of these as your like check engine lights. And so if it comes on, it doesn't mean the car's dying now and bad things are happening now. It just means like, hey, we gotta pay attention to this, right? Because then we don't want to lead to anything down here, right? And when we think of water in terms of weight loss, it is going to help you lose weight, right? It's going to help flush the body. It keeps things flowing, right? It's carrying nutrients to all of your cells. And so we want to make sure that our cells are hydrated. One of the things I didn't put on here is like clearer skin and just feeling better throughout the day. Like, do not underestimate the power of being hydrated. And I know it seems so silly of just like, it's just water. But our bodies need a lot of water and we need to be hydrated to feel good. And if you've never been properly hydrated, right? If you've been chronically drinking under 100 ounces of water, it's almost like you have no idea how good you could feel. You have no idea how good your body, your mind, all of those things can feel if we just drink more water throughout the day. All right, and when we talk about drinking water, there are certain things called diuretics. And so a diuretic, it doesn't necessarily dehydrate you. I know it's an easy way to think of a diuretic. It's just that diuretics promote urine, is basically what it comes down to. A diuretic is just gonna make you feel like you have to pee. It's gonna make you feel like you have to go to the bathroom more often than you typically do. I think alcohol is a really good example of a diuretic. And you know, if you've been a drinker before, if you've been out drinking, you know, you've heard the saying of like, don't break the seal, right? And it's that kind of like, oh, like if you're drinking, once you go to the bathroom, you have to like keep going. And it is kind of true because alcohol is a diuretic. So it just kind of makes your body feel like it has to go to the bathroom and excrete more urine than you might normally have to. Caffeine is another big diuretic that we see a lot, right? So things like tea, coffee, energy drinks, things like that. And so it's not that these things are bad or that you shouldn't have these things. It's just being mindful that these things are not hydrating you the same way that just regular water is going to hydrate you. So if you're having these things, and I think most of us have coffee or have some sort of energy drink, right? Some of us like to drink on the weekends or here and there. And so if you're going to have these beverages, just make sure you're mixing water in with them. So coffee, for example, something I drink very regularly. I have, you know, a couple cups of coffee every day. And so with that, I try to have 1 glass of water before my first cup of coffee. So I tend to, you know, get my coffee mug, I'll fill that with water, drink that, then have that first cup of coffee. I have found that personally, if I start drinking water earlier in the day, as soon as I wake up, that kind of thing, it does help me to then get more water in throughout the day. It kind of starts that thirst feeling of like, oh, okay, like I got water, I feel good. And just getting some water in your body right away to start your day is a good way to start the day. It does help wake your brain up, you know, right? It helps with your mood, helps all those things, gets your bowel movements going. So having water first thing really can be a good positive change that we add in there. You know, if you're gonna go out drinking at night or on the weekends or anything like that, I recommend having, you know, a glass of water in between each alcoholic beverage you have, right? So just say you're gonna have a glass of wine, you know, have your glass of wine, maybe with that or right after, also drink a glass of water, and then maybe have that next glass of wine if you're going to have that, right? So that hungover feeling that we get from drinking too much, you know, a lot of us have been there, I get it. And so a lot of that is just because you're dehydrated, right? You went out all night drinking a ton of alcohol, did not drink as much water, so that's why you're waking up feeling like you have a headache, right? You're kind of drowsy that day, you're out of it, your mood's off, everything feels achy, and all of these feelings of like dehydration, the benefits of water, all of that, we're not getting any of that when we've been out drinking alcohol all night. So to kind of help prevent that hangover feeling, to keep you feeling good, mixing in water in between your beverages will really help. And if you really want to go that extra mile, you could even end the night with some sort of like electrolyte drink, right? Even like a Gatorade, or something. I did have a friend in college who she used to, I don't know if she did it all the time, but she used to, like, on her nightstand, if we were to go out, she would leave a bottle of Gatorade and like 2 ibuprofen. And so she would like chug that and take the ibuprofen before she went to bed to try and help her feel better, because she knew it was coming, you know, the next morning. So just keep that in mind, right? If you do like a pre-workout before you exercise, or even if you're doing, you know, some of the different energy drinks, things like that, just also make sure we're drinking a lot of water. This can also come into play with, I was talking to someone the other day about creatine, which creatine can be a whole nother topic that we talk about. It is good to take if you're trying to build muscle, but with, you know, taking different supplements like that, you have to be hydrated. Those supplements will not work, and they could have adverse effects if we're not properly hydrated. Okay, so that's kind of my challenge, right? Going into week 4, if you're gonna kind of engage in any of these beverages, let's try and add water in between, right? Whether that's having a glass of water before, right after, in between multiple beverages, that's kind of my challenge for this week 4. Let's add in more water as we go through, okay? And so when we talk about how to stay hydrated, a lot of it is, like everything else, just building the habit and building in that habit of drinking water. This is how much water I drink. This is how I go about doing it. So I mentioned earlier, you know, if you front load your day, I know this is something I think Dennis really does. He's talked a lot about before, but basically what that means is you're gonna try and drink the majority of your water in the first half of the day, right? If you are someone who is waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, or that's happening multiple times a night, you know, it's then disrupting your sleep. It could be hard to fall back asleep. So we want to try not to have that happen. And a lot of times that happens because you're just drinking water later at night. And so you're drinking water at night, maybe you're chugging a lot before you go to bed because you're like, oh, I gotta get that last, you know, 10 ounces in to hit my goal, whatever it is. And so you're doing that, and then by the time it, you know, kind of goes through your body, you might already be sleeping. Well, then, you know, that feeling of having to go to the bathroom wakes you up, you gotta go, could be hard to get back to sleep. So front loading is just having more of that water in the first half of your day, right? So waking up, drinking 10 ounces right away, you know, and setting those times throughout the day to get the water in. Setting, you know, you can set reminders on your phone, set an alarm, set the reminder app, different things like that, to just be like, oh, okay, I gotta get, you know, it's been 2 hours, let me drink 10 more ounces, or whatever that time is for you. I personally try to give myself times. So, you know, I'll wake up, I'll drink, you know, that coffee cup's probably like 8 ounces, so I'll have that right away. And then I try to drink, you know, basically I try to drink like 20 ounces every 2 hours is how it averages out. And so for me, that really works. It just, not that I'm always hitting it. Sometimes I'm up, you know, above that, sometimes I'm a little below that, but it always just kind of reminds me of like, oh shoot, it's been 2 hours, I only drank, you know, half of this, let me get more in. And it just keeps me mindful of where I'm at. Other things I've done, I have put little pieces of duct tape on my water bottle, right? This one is a little bit smaller than the other one I had, but that other one, it's like I knew I needed 4 of those to hit my water goal for the day. And sometimes you do just forget. I know, you know, it seems silly, but like you just forget, like, oh, did I just finish 2? Or like, am I starting 2 now? Or, you know, where I'm at. So I would put little pieces of tape on here, and every time I finish one, just take off those pieces of tape. And, you know, for me, if you're someone who like likes to check things off the list, it was this little like reward of like, oh, I get to like take that piece of tape off, right? So just little things to keep you motivated. Having a beverage with your meal. So if you're really struggling to get your water in and to just, you know, be drinking enough, every time you sit down to have a meal, have a glass of water, right? And it's, you know, drink a little bit before you start eating, eat a little bit of your meal, take a second, drink some more water. That's also just gonna help you slow down as you're eating, and eating slower helps us to be more mindful. It gives our body a chance to, you know, really tell, are we full, are we still hungry? And it just kind of slows down that whole eating process. It, you know, aids digestion. And so it is just good in general to kind of slow it down. So drinking water or having some sort of like hydrating beverage with your meal can really help. And then there's a ton of apps, right? I've used ones before where it comes with like, you get it on like Amazon, I think, and it comes with a water bottle, and the water bottle like lights up if you haven't opened it in like a certain amount of time, so like to remind you to drink. And then it goes along with an app that keeps track of how much you've been drinking, how many times you fill it up. There's another one I know a couple of girls at the gym use, which I can get the name of it if anyone's interested, but every day it gives you a different animal. So like one of the girls today at the gym, she had a llama. And so as you drink fluids and you put it into the app, it like fills up the llama, and then it's kind of like a Pokemon thing where you get to like keep these different animals. So just silly things like that to just remind you to do it, right? And just kind of keep you in that habit and being mindful of it. Be patient with yourself, right? Making changes takes a long time. It's hard to go against your years and years of doing things a certain way, and now trying to change that, add different things in. So just be patient, okay? And so for this challenge, we're definitely looking at hydration to be a majority water, just clear, plain water. I think the saying Dennis has used before, like if you would use it to wash your clothes, that's what we're looking for. But having an electrolyte drink, I know a lot of people like the element powders, or we have some O2 ones on the counter right now. I personally use like an amino energy thing. Having electrolytes in with your hydration are good. Like I'm not saying don't have those. Those are totally fine, especially if you are someone who's exercising a lot, right? If you're maybe you're doing 2-a-days, or you started doing CrossFit and this is like a big change in fitness for you. If you sweat a lot, I tend to, if you're a sweaty person, it's okay. But if you sweat a lot and you're just losing a lot of water throughout the day, having an electrolyte drink can help. We want to make sure our electrolytes stay balanced, and there are times where if you're losing a lot of sweat, you're losing a lot of water, and you're only taking in water, and we're not really taking in any more electrolytes to kind of balance that out. You could start to feel some of these things, just like fatigued, maybe a little lightheaded, things like that. But that really only comes into play if you are excessively sweating, doing multiple workouts a day, right? So don't think you have to add an electrolyte to your day. If you're thinking you might need to, but you're unsure, just ask me or Dennis. We can talk you through individually if that might be the right option for you. Your energy drinks, if you're mixing a powder with water, you can still count that towards your water goal. That's fine. We're obviously not counting alcohol towards the water goal. And so just getting as close to it being water as we can does help. And I know there's some people who say they don't like the taste of water, things like that. So if that's the case, doing different things like Propels, I think, have like flavored water. There's a couple different brands of like, flavored water you could do. You could make your own flavored water, right? Throw some, berries in it, and you kind of, pour it onto a drink, put a little lemon in your water if you want. There's like the Noon tablets and like Mino liquids, I think, that you can like add in just to like add some flavor that don't have like a ton of calories and things in it. So it is okay to use those things while you're trying to increase how much water you're drinking. And then the goal is to get to as much just water as we can. But if right now you're like, hey, I need to do a couple Propels, so I have some flavored water, I need to do an electrolyte, so there's some flavor to it. I'm gonna do a little pre-workout powder, and then I have, a couple glasses of just regular plain water, and that's helping you get to that goal. That is okay for now, right? We're still hydrating our body, we're still taking in liquids, we're getting there, and then the goal is, okay, now can I take one of these, flavored things away, or can I just add in another glass of just regular plain water, okay? So that's kind of what we've been looking at, looking at everyone's tracking sheets for this challenge. Everyone seems to be doing really well with it. I know some days are just gonna be better than others, and that happens, that's okay. But just being mindful of it, and like I said in the beginning, not underestimating how important hydration is to an overall healthy lifestyle, right? Being hydrated it's going to help you lose weight, it's going to help you build muscle, it's just going to help you feel better throughout your day. So there are certain things, even sometimes if you feel hungry, right? Say maybe you just ate a really big lunch and then, it's been like a half hour, 45 minutes, and you're like, oh, I feel hungry again. Some of it could be maybe you are hungry, right? Maybe you just haven't eaten enough calories throughout the day yet. Maybe you are hungry, but sometimes we are just starting to feel those feelings of, dehydration, and we are just thirsty, and it does kind of present in feeling hungry. So that's why, having a beverage with your meals, drinking water as you're eating will also help you just feel more full. It's gonna help you, feel satisfied throughout the day, and just, overall keep you feeling good. So, hope that, helped answer some questions, gave some clarity on hydration. If you have any questions specifically for you and, your lifestyle, if you're curious about like the electrolyte drinks, we can chat about it one-on-one. If you're really struggling to get in enough water, don't hesitate to talk to Dennis or I. We can help you come up with a plan, maybe some of these apps, maybe setting reminders, whatever it is we need to do for you individually. We're here to help, make sure you guys feel successful, feel good about this, right? And it's all about building habits that can last beyond these 8 weeks. I think for a lot of us, we can wrap our heads around, okay, 8 weeks, at this point, 5 more weeks, I can do it, I can get myself there. But are you truly building the habits to keep doing it when this is over? Right, so you want to keep that in mind when you're trying to build in these habits of, is it realistic to wake up and have a glass of water every day? I think for most of us it is, right? So think of these little ways that you can build this habit of drinking more water, staying hydrated in a way that is sustainable, okay? So that is the hydration talk. Again, if you have questions, just reach out to me or Dennis. We're here to help, here to guide you. And yeah, good luck with week 4. We'll see you next week for the next talk. Dennis will be doing it next Saturday at 10 a.m. All right, see everyone then.